I made a breakthrough, well, small one. This is a PoE hat for a Pi 0, and you can see that it has only an Ethernet, and it's getting its power from the Ethernet switch. And the previous one I had didn't work. Sometimes when it booted, usually when it booted cold the first time, the Realtek Ethernet adapter didn't connect to the USB hub. So what it is that bottom board is the bottom board is a power supply that takes the PoE voltage and regulates it and produces 5 volts for the Pi. And it, as well as that power supply, there is also a Realtek and a USB hub. The USB hub used to connect on the previous version. I had a previous unit that the USB hub connected to the USB bus okay, but the first time when it was booted cold, when it started cold, the Realtek Ethernet wasn't on the bus, but they sent me a new one, and this one works okay. So now I have that's an SSH shell on the local network. And it works. If I shut it down, so now it's shutting down. And that's it. It's now quiet, so I can unplug it. Plug it in again. It's booting. So it's got its network up, and I can log into it. And I tried, in theory you should be able to run OpenWRT on this, because it's got 512 megabytes of RAM, which is plenty enough to run OpenWRT, and it has a 4-core Raspberry Pi CPU. But But when I downloaded the OpenWRT image, which was supposed to be a 64-bit Linux kernel for ARM, it didn't boot, and I couldn't get a TTY or anything, so I've kind of given up on that. OpenWRT is it's really just a bunch of shell scripts and Lua code and a web server, PHP web server, and a thing called Lucy, which is a configuration interface that gives you a web page. You log in as admin on your web browser and you can configure stuff using a web interface. And underneath this is a whole lot of Lua code and some daemons and things that interface with the Linux kernel, and they kind of manage network devices and interfaces and routes and firewalls and things. But they don't do that if it doesn't boot. It doesn't do anything. So I'll just keep on trying to coerce. This is a Raspbian image that I have running on it, which I downloaded from the Raspberry Pi people, and that works. So I'm just going to try and configure a natting firewall type interface on the Ethernet and use it as a router between this Wi-Fi in this house and my network. This is so hard. I swear it took half an hour in OpenBSD, and I can't use OpenBSD now because on this laptop that I have, that SN Naught is the Atheron, is that what they call the Wi-Fi hardware. The OpenBSD driver, that's a message that shouldn't happen. Device timeout should just not happen, and it does. So I can't connect this OpenBSD on this laptop to the house Wi-Fi. It might be to do with the maybe it's running later 802.11 protocols than this thing was developed for, something like that. Or maybe there always has been a problem with this Wi-Fi driver on OpenBSD, but setting up this kind of firewall local LAN on OpenBSD is just a no-brainer. It's half an hour following the handbook and it just works. But the Linux networking with NetManager and all the other things that people have built on top of it, it's awfully hard now to do anything. It's beyond me. So that's my progress report. Microscopic steps.